topics by topics. We're covering some important topics that always repeat itself as far as JAMB Biology is concerned. So the first topic we'll be handling on is going to be on nutrition and food substances, because when it comes to nutrition and food substances, then that is one of the core as far as biology is concerned. So sit tight and enjoy this wonderful session. So I have some questions here with me on nutrition and food substances. Nutrition and food substances. We have the first question here. First question is carbon dioxide plus water. Carbon dioxide plus water giving us a forward reaction of glucose, which is what C6H12O6, giving us what oxygen, or giving up oxygen. The question is the process represented above is but checking from this equation is not what balance. So we have to what balance equation before what we what proceed. So to balance this equation, we put our 6 here, and we put our what 6 here, and we put our what 6 here. This means that this reaction is what balance, or this equation is what balance. So now the question is the process that is represented on this board or by the equation above is A. Protein synthesis. So this A. Protein synthesis. B. Respiration. C. Photosynthesis. And D. Transpiration. So now the question is, which of this process is what represented what above? It cannot be what protein what synthesis. Neither can it be what respiration. This is not the formula for what cellular what respiration. As you can see here, you can see what carbon dioxide plus what water. That means there's a presence of what carbon dioxide, there's a presence of what water, giving us a forward reaction, which is what this forward reaction is facilitated by what sunlight. This reaction is facilitated by what sunlight. But in the question, you are not going to what see sunlight. But the moment you see carbon dioxide plus what water giving us a forward reaction, you know that it's being facilitated by the presence of what is sunlight, giving us what glucose plus what oxygen. So this reaction is simply what, or this process is what photosynthesis what cis. This reaction is simply what photosynthesis. You know that it's a process whereby what green plants manufacture their own what food. You see what carbon dioxide, water in the presence of what sunlight, giving us what glucose plus what oxygen, giving us what oxygen. So this reaction is known as what photosynthesis, which is what C. The next question in biology is the oxygen given off during the process of photosynthesis. This oxygen that is given off during the process of oxygen is derived from this oxygen given off during the process of photosynthesis. Where do we get this one oxygen from? A. Sunlight. B. Chlorophyll. C. Carbon dioxide. So where do we get this oxygen from? You say A. What do you say? Sunlight. A. Sunlight. B. Chlorophyll. C. Carbon dioxide. And D. Atmosphere. D. What? Atmosphere. So the question is, where is this what oxygen what derived from? So that is the question. The answer there is going to be what D. The oxygen derived in the process of photosynthesis is gotten from the what atmosphere. Please take note. Oxygen derived in the process or given out in the process of what? Photosynthesis is derived from the what? Atmosphere. It is not gotten from what? Carbon dioxide, neither is it gotten from water, neither is it gotten from chlorophyll, neither is it gotten from what? Sunlight. Now let me explain what is what? This protein synthesis and or what you are supposed to understand when it comes to what? Photosynthesis. So photosynthesis occurs mainly in green plants. That is number one. Note that photosynthesis only occurs in what? Green plants. Why do they occur in what? Green plants? It is because they contain the what? Green what? Pigment. So they contain the green pigment, which is what? Chlorophyll, which is stored in their what? Chloroplast. That is what? Number one. Number two, the chemical energy stored in glucose. The chemical energy stored in glucose is derived from what? Sunlight. And when energy is derived from sunlight, it is known as what? Solar what? Energy. Energy derived from sunlight, it is known as what? Solar what? Energy. So that is the chemical energy photosynthesis is what? Derived from. It is derived from what? Sunlight. That is why I put sunlight in this word forward word reaction. You have to also know that oxygen, which is given off as a byproduct, is derived from the word photolysis of what? Water. Oxygen, which is given off as a byproduct here, is derived from the word photolysis of what? Water, which is what? H2O and not what? Carbon dioxide. So therefore, since there is nothing like water here in the option, the correct answer there is what? D, which is what? The atmosphere. So oxygen in photosynthesis is derived from the atmosphere. Let's move on to the next question. Let's move on to question number 3. Which of these elements is required by plants in small quantities? Which of these elements is required by plants in small quantities? Which of these elements is required by plants in small quantities only? We have A, boron. We have A, boron or boron. We have B, nitrogen. We have B, nitrogen. We have C. We have C, phosphorus. We have D, magnesium. And we have E, potassium. So which of these elements plants requires them in what? Small quantity. So the answer there is going to be, let's check for the answer. So the answer here is going to be what? Boron, which is what? A. So boron is the element that is required by plants in small quantity. Boron is required by plants required in small quantity. In small quantity. Nitrogen is what? Very, very important when it comes to what? Plant growth. Phosphorus also, magnesium and what? Potassium. So what I'm simply going to do is to give you a list of what? Micro elements and give you a list of also what? Macro elements. So take notes. Note that micro elements are also known as what? Trace element. Micro elements are also known as what? Trace elements. So in this case, the boron is what? A trace element that is required in just what? Small quantity. So let's write down the macro and the what? Micro element. So we have here the macro elements, or the macro element, or the macronutrients, and we have the word micronutrients. We have the macro and the word micronutrient. So the number one macronutrient is what? Nitrogen. We have our nitrogen as what? One of the macro elements. We have our sulfur. We have our sulfur, which is a macro element. We have our phosphorus. We have our phosphorus. We have our magnesium. We have our magnesium. We also have our potassium and what? Calcium. We have our potassium. We have our potassium and we have our calcium. These these are what macro what nutrient or what macro what element that is required by what plant in what large what quantities. Then for the micro, we have the boron, we have the copper, we have our copper, we have our manganese, we have our manganese, we have our zinc, and we have our molybdenum. We have our molybdenum, which is represented as what? Mo. Molybdenum. So these are lists of what? Macronutrients and what? Micro what nutrients that is what required by what? Plants. So this one said a nutrient that requires in small quantities, but this particular one, they are not required in small quantities, they are required in what? High quantities, so that the plant will not undergo what? Deficiencies. So let's move on to the next question. The next question is, okay, an organism which lives on the remains of a dead plant is an organism which feeds on the remains of what? Dead plant is A. An endoparasite. One, we say what? A. Endoparasite. B. We have endoparasite. We have saprophyte. We have D or C. We have commensals. D. We have symbiote. And E. We have ectoparasite. We have our word ectoparasite. Now checking this word equation. A. Endoparasite. They live on what? Dead what? Plant what? Remains. That means they feed on what? Remains on what? Dead what? Plant. Is it going to be what? Endoparasite? No. From the name what? Parasite. That means they feed on what? A host. And when you say endo, they are what? Living inside the what? Host. So it cannot be what? Endoparasite. So that is just, let me check the answer. The answer is already what? Saprophyte. That's what? A saprophytic what? Relationship where they feed on the remains. You get? So any plant or any animal or a feeding relationship where an organism lives on the remains of a dead plant is of this concept in a very basic manner. So let me check for the explanation here. That is number 5. Let me check for the explanation. Alright, ectoparasite commensalism is simply what? A feeding what? Relationship. The symbiote is also what? A type of what? A feeding what? Relationship. So any type of feeding relationship where an organism feeds on the remains of what? A plant, it is known as what? Saprophytism. Please take note of that. Then the next question we have here is, sorry, I can't see my question. Alright, let me get it again. The next question: which of these substances is likely to be deficient in the diet of a person living or having what? Goiter? Which of these substance or which of these nutrients is deficient in the diet of a person having what? Goiter. So when a person is having what? Goiter, which of these is not enough in the diet of this what? Person? That is what JAMB is what? Asking you. All these questions I'm asking is based on nutrition and what? Food what? Substances. It says which of these is what? Deficient in the diet of a person having what? Goiter. A. Potassium. They say A. Potassium. B. Calcium. C. Iodine. D. Sodium. D. what? Sodium. So the question is, which of these is deficient person that is what? Having what? Goiter. So what do you think is going to be the answer Comment section if you are actually following up this class. Which of these is deficient in the diet of a person having what? Goiter. So the answer is going to be what? C. Iodine deficient. When iodine is not enough in the diet of a person, the person will have what? A sickness or a disease condition that is known as what? Goiter, which is swelling. You get to see the person's throat. So that is what is known as what? Goiter. So he said, since iodine is necessary of what? Thyroid hormones. So iodine is necessary for the production of what? Thyroid hormones. Iodine is necessary for the production of what? Thyroid hormones. And iodine is necessary for the production of what? Thyroid hormones and normal what? Thyroid function. So when this iodine is not what? Enough in the diet of this person is going to have what? Goiter, because there will be no what? Production of what? Thyroid hormones and what? The normal what? Thyroid function. Sea salt, the salt that is gotten in the sea is what? Rich in what? Iodine. Take note. Table salt, yes, table salt is mandatorily what? Iodized nowadays before being what? So table salt is what? Mandatory. It must undergo what? Iodization, but it must be what? Iodized before it is being what? So a person that is what? Having goiter, it means that the person is deficient. The person diet is deficient in what? Iodine. So let's check up the next question. So let's check up the next question. So the next question, yeah. The deficiency of vitamin D. A person who lacks vitamin D the deficiency of vitamin D leads to a person deficiency of vitamin D. Deficiency of vitamin D leads to. How can we get what? Vitamin D. How can we get what? Vitamin D. Vitamin D, the source of and vitamin is not orange. Vitamin C is what? Oranges. So, but the question is, the deficiency of vitamin D will lead to. Where is the question? The deficiency of vitamin D will lead to A. Scurvy. Where is the question? The deficiency. B. Pellagra. C. Rickets. D. Beriberi. And E. What? Polio. So coffee. C. Rickets. Beriberi and E. There, that is question number 15 from my end. The answer there is going to be what? C. The answer there is going to be what? C. Deficiency of vitamin D will lead to what? Rickets. The deficiency of vitamin D will lead to what? Rickets. So what I'm going to do right now is to see how I can list these deficiency symptoms of what? Vitamins. So we are going to list what? Deficiency symptoms of what? Vitamins. If you lack vitamin A, what is going to happen? What is going to happen to a person that lacks what? Vitamin what? B1, vitamin B2, vitamin B3, vitamin B5, vitamin B6, and vitamin B12. Also folic acid, vitamin C, vitamin K, vitamin what? E. So we are going to list this vitamin and their deficiency, what it can what lead to. Please take note of this, and because it is very, very what? Important. So let's start with what? Vitamin what? A. So we say what? Vitamin what? A. Say vitamin what? A. Deficiency in vitamin A will lead to what? Night what? Blindness. Deficiency in vitamin A will lead to. Take note of this point. Deficiency in vitamin A will lead to what? Night what? Blindness. Then deficiency in vitamin what? B1. Vitamin B1. Vitamin B1. Deficiency in vitamin B1 leads to what is known as what? Very. Then deficiency in vitamin B2 will lead to what? Skin what? Lesion around the mouth. Skin what? Lesion around the what? Mouth. The person's skin will start what? Peeling around the what? Mouth. So that is a deficiency of what? Vitamin what? B2. So we say what? Vitamin what? B2. So deficiency of vitamin B2 will lead to what? Skin lesion. Skin what? Lesion. Skin lesion around the mouth. What? Vitamin what? B2. Then what about B3? Vitamin B3, a person that lacks vitamin B3 is going to have what is known as what? Pellagra. That is going to have a condition that's known as what? Pellagra. It's also going to lead to what? Mental what? Ill vitamin B3 max. If the deficiency is what? Can lead to what? Mental what? Illness. Mental what? Illness if what? Prolonged. Mental illness if what? Prolonged. So it is very important that you understand this. Then vitamin what? B5. Vitamin what? B5. Please note, there's vitamin B1, B2, B3, and there's no vitamin what? B4. Rather, it is what? Vitamin what? B5. So take note, there's nothing like what? Vitamin what? B4. Therefore, the vitamin B5 is going to lead to nervous and what? Digestive what? Disorder. So it's going to lead to what? Nervous and digestive what? Disorder. Nervous and digestive what? Disorder. Nervous and digestive what? Disorder. This is for a person that lacks a vitamin that is vitamin what? B5. Then the next vitamin is what? The vitamin what? B6. For vitamin B6, any person that lacks vitamin B6 is going to lead to number one, anemia. The sickle cell what? Anemia. People that have sickle cell anemia lacks what? Vitamin what? B6. So this is going to lead what? Sickle cell what? Anemia. And a type of anemia, okay, yes, vitamin B6 is what? Anemia, and also what? Diarrhea. Is also going to lead to what? Diarrhea. Let me see my spelling, okay. Oh, my spelling is correct. So the lack of what? Vitamin B6 is going to lead to what? Anemia and what? Diarrhea. Then another type of vitamin is what? Vitamin what? B12. So we say what? Vitamin what? Of what? Anemia. But at this particular time, we are going to be what? Very what? Coincides on the type of what anemia is going to lead to. It's going to lead to an anemia that is known as the what? Pernicious what? Anemia. So you have the what? Pernicious what? Anemia. Pernicious what? Anemia. This is the lack of what? Vitamin what? B12. It leads to what? Pernicious what? Anemia. We also have what? Folic what? Acid. Folic what? Acid. We have folic acid. When you lack what? Folic what? Acid. And this one is commonly in what? Found in what? Pregnant what? Women, especially in what? Pregnant what? Women. That is why it is always advised pregnant women what? Take what? Folic what? Acid. So when pregnant women refuse to take what? Folic what? Acid, it's going to affect our fetus, and in turn is going to lead to what? Anemia. It's going to lead to anemia. So we say what? Anemia. But this time now is what? Especially in what? Pregnant what? Women. So this one starts happening what? In the fetus. Fetus. Okay, say what? Especially in pregnant what? Women. Especially in what? Pregnant what? Women. So it's going to lead to what? Anemia, especially in what? Pregnant what? Women. There's also what? Vitamin C. Vitamin what? C. So vitamin C is going to lead to what? Scurvy. Vitamin C is going to lead to what? Scurvy. That is what vitamin C is going to what? Lead to. We also have what? Vitamin what? K. Vitamin K will lead to what? Prolonged what? Bleeding. prolong what? Breathing. When someone lacks what? Vitamin what? K, which was supposed to what? Serve as what? A platelet, which stops what? Bleeding. But when someone lacks this particular what? Vitamin K, is going to lead to what? Vitamin what? K. You say what? Prolong what? Bleeding. Prolong what? Bleeding. Prolonged bleeding or what? Hemorrhage. So that is just it when someone lacks what? Vitamin what? K. And the last one here we have is what? Vitamin what? E. When someone lacks what? Vitamin E, is going to lead to what? Repeated what? Abortions or what? Sterility. It's going to lead to what? Repeated what? Abortions or what? Sterility. But this one, vitamin E, the deficiency is not always common in what? Humans. It's not always common in what? Humans. So these are just the vitamins and their deficiency. Vitamin A leads to night blindness. Vitamin B1 leads to beriberi. Vitamin B2 skin lesion around the mouth. Vitamin B3 penetrate or mental illness prolong. Vitamin B5 leads to nervous and digestive disorder. Vitamin B6 leads to anemia and diarrhea. Vitamin B12 leads to pernicious anemia. Folic acid leads to anemia, but especially in pregnant women. Then the vitamin C leads to scurvy, and the vitamin K leads to what? Prolonged what? Bleeding. So that is just for that question that was asked. So let's go on to the next question on the list. It says, the next question is this. Alright, the next question, what is the next question? What is the next question that is here? The next question. Alright, so let me ask a question that is related to this. Kwashiorkor is caused by a severe deficiency of kwashiorkor is caused by a severe deficiency of A. Water, B. Oil, C. Drugs, D. Protein, and what? E. What? Sugar. So kwashiorkor is caused by a deficiency in what? A. Water. Where is it? Kwashiorkor. Alright. It's caused by what? A. Water. It says B. Oil. C. Drugs. D. Proteins. And E. What? Sugar. So the question is, which of these deficiency would lead to what? Kwashiorkor. Is it going to be water? When someone don't takes water, is it going to lead to kwashiorkor? Is it B. Oil? When someone doesn't take enough oil, will it lead to what? Kwashiorkor. C. Is it drugs? When someone doesn't take drugs, can it lead to kwashiorkor? D. Proteins, and E. What? Sugar. The deficiency of this is what? Deficiency what? D. When a person doesn't take what? Enough proteins, it's going to lead to what? Kwashiorkor, which is the swelling of the what? Belly, the swelling of the what? Head, and the slimming of the what? Legs and what? Hands, and the what? Neck. So you get to see someone getting fat in their head. Their head is going to get fat, their belly is going to get fat, but their hands and their legs and their necks is not what? Following what? Suit. So you get to see them slim and their belly was getting what? Fat. It is only gotten because a deficiency of what? Proteins. This is the correct answer, which is what? D. So the next question, which is here, is question number. Okay. Next question is this. The mode of nutrition in which digestion is extracellular. Which mode of nutrition digestion is extracellular? A. Holophoitic. B. Parasitic. C. Holozoic. D. Saprophytic. So question number what? 42. Question number what? 42. So let me clean this. Please, I hope you have taken notes of this. So for question 42, it says which mode of feeding? Which mode of this feeding is what? Extracellular. Which mode of this feeding is what? Extracellular. It says which mode of nutrition in which digestion. So let's say digestion is extracellular. Digestion is what? Extracellular. We say what? A. What did you say what? A. Holophytic. Holophytic. We say B. Parasitic. B. Parasitic. C. Holozoic. D. Saprophytic. Saprophytic. So the question is, which mode of this what? Nutrition is what? In which their digestion is what? Extracellular. You can see here A, holophoetic, B, parasitic, C, holozoic, and D, what? Saprophytic. The correct answer there is going to be what? D. The correct answer there is going to be what? D. Now, if you get to see it, saprophyte, remember, you say what? Saprophyte feeds on what? Remains of what? Dead what? Plant. That is what we say. Saprophyte feeds on the remains of what? Dead what? Plant. So the moment they are feeding on this dead plant, they are what? What did they say? They say, well, the moment digestive enzymes is secreted on the what? Substrate, and their digested food is absorbed into the body by the what? Okay, into the body of the what? Saprophyte. So it means that their digestive what? Enzyme is what? Secreted on the what? Substrate, and the moment it's secreted on the substrate, the food is digested what? By the what? Saprophyte immediately. So that is just it. The next question which I'm going to get, and I believe is going to be the last question, although there are a lot of questions when it comes to this particular concept. When it comes to this particular concept, there are a lot of questions, but I'm not going to remain here. I'm just going to move on to the next one. That is just it. So let me check for the last question on this particular topic. Let me check for the last question on this particular topic. Let me check for the last question. Alright, so let's take question 28. And that is just it. It says, we all know that plant is supposed to be what? Greenish. But a young plant showing a yellow leaf is likely to be deficient in a young plant. You say what? A young plant showing what? Showing yellow leaf. A young plant showing what? Yellow leaf is said to be what? Deficient in. You say what? A, calcium. A, calcium. A, calcium. B, magnesium. B, magnesium. C, potassium. D, boron. And E, new. So a young plant showing a yellow leaf is said to be deficient in what? A, calcium. B, magnesium. C, potassium. D, boron. And E, what? Polymedium. Please, if you are following up the class, can you just indicate in the comment section? Just indicate in the comment section. Let me know if you are following up the class. But the question there on the board right now is that which of these shows that when the young plant is showing what? Yellow leaf, it's said to be what? Deficient in what? Which of these? So the correct answer there, question number 28, is going to be what? B, which is what? Magnesium. B, which is going to be what? Magnesium. So a young plant showing a yellow leaf is said to be deficient in what? Magnesium. So I'm going to give you deficiency of what? Symptoms. Deficiency symptoms when it comes to what? Plant. So let me click all of this and show you what? Deficiency symptoms when it comes to what? Plants. That's question number 28. Yes. Deficiency symptoms in plants. Deficiency symptoms. Deficiency symptoms. Deficiency symptoms in what? Plants. So that is just it. Number 1 is nitrogen. You say what? Nitrogen. When there is not enough nitrogen in a plant, it's going to what? Lead to what? Yellowing of the leaves and what? Stunted growth. Yellowing of leaves and stunted what? Growth. It's going to lead to what? Yellowing of leaves and what? Stunted what? Growth. Then we also have the next nutrient that is very, very important, which is what? Sulfur. Is that what? Sulfur. So when there's a deficiency of sulfur is also going to lead to what? Yellowing of leaves and what? Slender what? Stem. So we say what? Yellowing of leaves and slender what? Stem. So instead of the stem going to be what? Robust, it's going to be what? Slender. We also have the next one, which is what? Calcium. Calcium. So when there is not enough calcium in a plant, it's going to make the plant to be what? Number one, it's going to be what? Weak. You say what? Weak. It's also going to cause what? Stunted what? Growth. It's also going to lead to what? Stunted what? Growth. And it's also going to lead to what? Poor root what? Development. It's also going to lead to what? Poor root development. It's also going to lead to poor root what? Development. You also have the next one, which is what? Phosphorus. Phosphorus. So say what? Phosphorus. So the deficiency of phosphorus is going to lead to purplish or what? Reddish what? Leaf. So what? Purplish or reddish what? Leaves. Reddish leaves. So when there's what? Deficiency of phosphorus is going to lead to what? Purplish or what? Or reddish what? Leaves, and also going to be what? The molting of these what? Leaves. The molting of what? Lower what? Leaves. So it's a molting of what? Lower what? Leaves. Molting of what? Lower what? Leaves. Also we have what? Magnesium. Magnesium. We have what? Magnesium. So when there's deficiency of magnesium, it's going to lead to what? Yellowing of leaves. It's going to lead to what? Yellowing of leaves and poor growth. Yellowing of leaves and what? Poor what? Growth. So this is just it. The next one again there is iron. So iron is something like magnesium. They work together. Iron, they also work together as a what? Magnesium. And we have the next one, which is what? Potassium. So for the potassium, very poor growth, or they have, and they also have what? Orange or brown leaves. Orange or brown leaves. Orange or what? Brown what? Leaves. So these are what the deficiency symptoms in what plants. We have the what? Nitrogen. For the nitrogen, it leads to what? Yellowing of leaves and what? Stunted what? Growth. We also have what? Sulfur, which is the what? Yellowing of leaves and what? Slender what? Stem. We also have the next one, which is what? Calcium, which is what? Weak, stunted growth and poor what? Root development. Phosphorus. Phosphorus is going to lead to what? Purplish or what? Reddish what? Leaves. The purplish or what? Reddish what? Leaf is caused by the deficiency of what? Phosphorus. Therefore, magnesium and iron, they perform the same function, yellowing of leaves and poor what? Growth of the what? Plant. We also have what? The potassium, which is orange or what? Brown what? Leaf. So that is just it for this particular concept that is known as what? Food and nutrition and food what? Substances. If you need this particular past question, feel free to drop it in the comment section. Just drop it, just say I need it, and I will share my WhatsApp number with you. Chat me up on WhatsApp and you will get this past question. So let's move on to the next topic here. Let's move on to the next topic. I can see right here with me the next topic. So we are cleaning this, and I hope you have gotten this. So we are moving on to the next topic. So the next topic I have here, which is also very important, is the cell organization of what? Life. The cell organization of what? Life. This is very, very what? Important. Cell organization of life. Cell organization of what? Life. This is the basics as far as what? Biology is what concerned. This is the basics. All right, someone just asked a question. The question is this. I have a question. I just pray you should come online and get to see this. I am a biology student. If carnivorous plants are described as producers, if carnivorous plants are described as what producers, but they consume what insects, what category will you put them in the what trophic what level? I'm a biology student. If carnivorous plant, we have what a carnivorous what plants. Mr. Jean CM. I'm answering your question. It says, I'm a biology student. If carnivorous plants are carnivorous plants, now the thing you are saying what? A plant, right? You are saying what? Plants. And you're also using what? Carnivorous. Now, those are two distinct what stuff. But remember, we have what? A carnivorous what? Plant, which is example is the what? The Venus what? Fly what? Trap. So, he said, if these carnivorous plants are described as what? Producers, right? But they consume what? Insects. What category will you put them in the what? Trophic what? Level? I'm trying to break down that question, trying to understand that question. Category would put them in the trophy level. Please, can you break down the questions for me? What category will you put them in the trophy level? So can you just tell me more about what you mean? Just tell me about what you mean, because I know about carnivorous plants, which is example is a what? Venus what? Fly trap. So can you just, if you can get me Mr. Jean CM, so please just respond to what I just said right now. So, but as we are waiting for Mr. Jean CM, we will continue with what we are saying on the cell organization of what? Life. So concerning the cell organization of life, it says, which of the following is a characteristic of the word animal word cell? I saw these questions a lot of time. Like I saw it for 3 years, a 3-year past question. The thing came out consecutively, and the purpose of this class is to review these questions that always will come out. So we are going to get something like this. Which of the following is a characteristic of what? The animal cell? We say A, presence of what? Chloroplast. Emphasis on what? Animal cell. Animal what? Cell. We say what? A, presence of what? Chloroplast. Presence of what? Chloroplast. We have B, possession of a cellulose cell wall. Possession of what? Cellulose cell wall. Cellulose cell wall. We have C, absence of what? A large what? Vacuum. Absence of what? Absence of a large vacuum. Absence of a large vacuum. D, presence of large vacuum. Presence of large vacuum. And E, it says presence of what? Chromosomes. Presence of what? Chromosomes. Now the question is, which of the following is the characteristics of the word animal word cell? Which of the following is the characteristics of what? Animal word cell? So we say what? A, presence of chloroplast. Do animal, now when you say chloroplast, you have to understand what is what the chloroplast. Note that the chloroplast houses the word chlorophyll. Now the chlorophyll is what? The green pigment that is necessary for what? Photosynthesis in what? Plants. So the chloroplast houses the word chlorophyll. The chlorophyll. So it is not possible that the animal cell, because it's not possible for an animal cell to work photosynthesize. So the animal cell cannot work, contain what, or cannot work chloroplast. So this particular question is what? Off. Then we have a possession of what? Cellulose what? Cell wall. The cellulose does the what? Cell wall. Now you have to understand what is what? A cell wall. A cell wall, the function of shape is to give what? Rigidity. But the animal does not have what? A rigid what? Shape. The animal cell does not have what? A rigid what? Shape. So there's nothing like what? Possession of what? Cellulose what? Cell wall when it comes to what? The animal what? Cell. So section what? B is what? Off. Section B is what? Off. Then the top answer there, which is C, says absence of what? A large what? Vacuum. You can say what? The absence of what? A large what? Central what? Vacuum. In animal cell, there is no what? Large what? Vacuum. Animal cell, there is no what? Large what? Vacuum. Although there's a presence of what? A vacuum, but it is not what? A large central what? Vacuum. Then D says presence of a large vacuum. Presence of a large vacuum is found in what? Plants and not in what? Animals. Then in presence of what? Chromosomes. Chromosomes is found in what? Plant cell, and it's also found in what? The animal what? Cells. So when it comes, I can't see properly. All right, let me see how I can adjust it so that you can see. Someone says she's not seeing properly. No, I don't want green screen. Oh. All right, I hope you can see it better. Gloria Sotom Shuku. I hope you can see better. I hope you can see. I'm trying to set it. I hope you can see better. I'm trying to set it. All right, she can see. She's seeing it now. It's too close. So let me see how I can adjust the zooming. I hope you can see it, right? I hope you can see is right. Let's leave it this way. So I believe like this is better. Gloria Sotom Chuku, I hope you can see it better. So the question or the correct answer there is what? C. Absence of what? A large what? Vacuum. Absence of what? A large vacuum. Let's move on to the next question, which says question 2. All living organisms. Check it whether my handwriting is going to enter there now. All living organisms, let's say. All living organisms, isn't it?
Yes.
All living organisms. All living organisms. A. All living organisms. All living organisms. That's the question. All living organisms. A. Photosynthesize. All living organisms. A. Photosynthesize. Is it true that all living organisms photosynthesize? So we say A. Photosynthesize. We say B. Respire. C. Move. Move, yes. D. Feed. And what? E. What? Transpire. Transpire, yes, that's the question. It says all living organisms. A. Photosynthesize. B. Respire. And C. What? D. Feed. And E. What? Transpire. So let's check out this one question. The correct answer there is what? D, right? Because all living organisms must what? Feed. When you talk about photosynthesis, not all living organisms what? Photosynthesize. I am a human being. I don't undergo what? Photosynthesis. So we can't say all living organisms what? Photosynthesize. But we can also say that all living organisms what? Respire. Respiration, although is very, very what? Important, but not all living organisms what? Respire. And also want to talk about movement. Plants don't what? Move. You cannot see a plant here. You cannot see a plant here, and tomorrow you are seeing the word plant there. So you cannot say what? Move. And you cannot say, but all living organisms must what? Feed. Whether plants or animals, we must all what? Feed. Whether what? Through what? Photosynthesis or what? Heterotrophic what? Mode or what? Feeding. We have the autotrophic and the what? Heterotrophic. So all living organisms must what? Feed. And the transpiration is what? Mostly to what? Plant. So human beings does not what? Transpire. But what? Plants will transpire in a condition or in a process that is known as what? Transpiration. So let's check out the next question here. The question number 3 says the vacuum of a plant cell. The vacuum of a plant cell. The vacuum of a plant cell. Note that our question is mostly on the organization of what? Life. Cell organization of what? Life. So it says the vacuum of a plant cell. The vacuum of a plant cell is a large empty space. A large empty space. A large empty space. We have B, smaller than that of an animal cell. B, smaller than that of an animal cell. Than that with A. We have D, an ordinary vacuum. An ordinary vacuum. An ordinary vacuum. And we have E, which is what? Surrounded by what? A membrane. Surrounded by what? Membrane. Surrounded by what? Membrane. So what is going to be our answer? It says the vacuum of a plant cell is A large empty space. B, smaller than that of an animal cell. C, filled with air. And D, an ordinary vacuum. and E surrounded by what? Membrane. What do you think is going to be the answer? What do you think is going to be the answer? The answer is going to be what? E. The answer is going to be what? E. The vacuole of what? A plant cell is surrounded by what? Membranes. The vacuole of a plant cell is surrounded by what? Membrane bound vacuole. The membrane bound vacuole is called, or it contains the what? Cell what? Sap. And this membrane bound vacuole, the membrane bound what? Vacuole. Membrane bound vacuole. Membrane bound what? Vacuole. The membrane bound vacuole is known as what? Tonoplast. Please take note of this. Membrane bound vacuoles is also known as what? Tonoplast. Membrane bound vacuoles. I will be back. Okay, I will watch more of your videos. Thank you so much, Gloria Somtochukwu. Thank you for joining the live. I will be back. Okay, so you can, if your network is bad and you're unable to come back to the live stream, please just go on. This video will be uploaded. Check our lives, check out some of our videos, and I believe they are going to be so helpful in the course of your what? Preparation. So your question is, the vacuole of a plant cell is a large empty space, B smaller than that of an animal cell, C filled with air, D an ordinary vacuole, E surrounded by a membrane. The answer is what? E. The vacuole of a plant cell is surrounded by what? A membrane bound, or it's not a membrane bound vacuole. And this membrane bound vacuole is contains the word cell word sap. It contains the word cell sap, and it is known as the word the tonoplast, which is here on the board. So let's move on to the next question. The next question is the part of the cell. So I'm going to clean this. So the next question is the part of the cell responsible. The part of the cell solely responsible for respiration is part of the cell responsible for respiration. The part of the cell responsible for respiration. So we are asking which cellular organelles is responsible for what? Respiration. We have A, we have the nucleus. We have A, we have the nucleus. Is the nucleus responsible for respiration? We have B, the B is the nucleus. We have the nucleus. We have C, the C is the mitochondria. We have the mitochondria. And the D, we have the Golgi apparatus. We have the Golgi apparatus. Have you stopped? Okay, we have the Golgi apparatus, and the E, we have the word endoplasmic word reticulum. We have the word endoplasmic word reticulum, also known as what? ER. Don't forget, we have the word rough endoplasmic reticulum, and we have the word smooth word endoplasmic word reticulum. So it says which part of the cell is responsible for what? Respiration. So we have A, the nucleus, B, the nucleus, and correct, the Golgi apparatus, and the E, which is the word endoplasmic word reticulum. So let's give an answer directly to this word question. The answer there is going to be what? C. The answer there is going to be what? C, which is the word mitochondria. The mitochondria is a part of the cell or the cellular organelle that is solely responsible for what? Respiration. So I want to give you these functional organelles, and their word function. So we are going to list out these organelles and their word function. Let's list out these organelles and their word function. Starting with the word nucleus, so we say what? Functional word organelles. So what? Functional word organelles. Am I correct? Yes. We have the functional word organelles. We have number one, which is the word the nucleus. We have the word nucleus. What am I spelling? Nucleus. We have the word nucleus. So the nucleus is central to the word cell. The nucleus is what? Central to the word cell, as it controls all what? Cellular what? Activities. Controls all cellular what? Activities. Controls all cellular what? Activities. Please note again, the nucleus houses the genetic integrity of the cell. For example, purpose, the nucleus houses or preserve or protects the genetic integrity of the what cell. Genetic integrity of the what cell. The genetic integrity of the cell is being conserved by the what nucleus. We also have the second one, which is the what the nucleus. Remember, we made the nucleus, right? The nucleus is what a small what nucleus. The nucleus is what